definitely go back to them and take this challenge up. But I'm going to hand you straight over to Reuel Leach. As I mentioned, he is a commodity trading specialist. And of course, he's been on a couple of our evening shows. So, of course, Reuel, how are you doing?
Very well, thanks. And you? Can you hear me, Dion?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Great. I'm just sitting on my island in Hawaii and enjoying the weather out here. So
I can see that. I was going to say, you're definitely not in South Africa, because I just saw now in the news, we're going to have a trade deficit of 370 billion in this financial year. So we talk about hyperinflation.
This is crazy stuff that's happening. And early last year, I was warning the guys. I said, we are in for an economic recession. Folks, start doing something about it. And it was due for 25th of October, because that was the 90-year depression. Every 90 years you get a depression, and then somehow every 100 years we get some major health crisis. And 1919 we had the Spanish flu, and 2019. So everything was on time for that, but we were living in such a nice, cushy world that we've missed really what was coming and how quickly our worlds can change in a short period of time. And I know some of us are thinking, I want to get out, I want to get out. Even my wife said to me, she says, yes, love, I just want to get out there and go and sit on a wine farm. And I'll even have a glass of wine. I mean, she never drinks at all, not in her life. She hates, alcohol. So, I mean, if your wife says that and she doesn't drink, then you must know how bad it is. But
yes,
the stuff that I'm... Yes, Dion.
No. Yeah, you're spot on. I mean, as I jokingly said to Chris, I mean, with the restrictions, there's some easing, and I think there are more people more concerned about if they're going to ease the restrictions on alcohol and cigarettes than getting to know if they're back at work, which is it's funny, but it's also quite serious. But I'm just seeing the message stream coming through, and I know you're going to be going into it. So, the last 24 hours within the world, we have now crossed a definite line on the world. Pre-COVID-19, we knew things, went into a world that has now changed because of COVID-19. And of course, a lot of industries were affected. And then yesterday, the oil price completely tanked. This is going into recorded history. So I know you're going to bring it up into your presentation, but wow, that's all I can say.
I see your first question is talking about oil. So I'm going to try and say as much as possible and not overwhelm you, but there's obviously little time to share. But last night we were sitting on the markets and watching Bitcoin and silver and different stuff, because Bitcoin is a commodity whether you know it or not. And there's so many Bitcoin scams and schemes out there. If you got your money in with someone else, like the bank or someone with your Bitcoin, you should be getting it back. Because the best scheme I heard of recently was they're giving you 10% per month, and the rand is devaluating it 13% per month, so you're just going backwards. And you know what the worst thing is the guys that I'm going to show you some statistics tonight of oil companies and big companies that went bang last night. They went from millions and billions of dollars to zero last night. They were just, the whole industry just wiped them out. And anyone can get wiped out if they don't have money in their hands, if they don't have control. You don't want to wait until there's a crisis in South Africa and then go and stand in a queue to go and withdraw your funds. You must have already a means to have your funds available. So I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not talking on behalf of Silver Chief. I'm talking independently as a trader, and this is the reason. Education, and if you have a good educated financial advisor, go and speak to them and make sure that they also have their money in the right places and they're not just trying to sell you something from an insurance company. Can you see my screen, Bjorn?
Yep, perfect.
All right, let's get on with this. So we're going to talk about black markets, how things happen to become black market. And when the cigarettes and the alcohol were banned and some things were banned and the prices have shot up, I just started doing researching because I spent between 2001 and 2007 in Zimbabwe, and I was just blown away how the world is different on the other side of the border. We're going to talk about bartering because we've seen a lot of bartering going on. We're going to talk about banknotes, coins, and then silver and different forms of silver, because silver is effectively the poor and middle class way of holding value. So let's talk about the black market. So a lot of stuff has all of a sudden become illegal. This is normal for an economic crisis. This is normal when a government takes over the country and they start regulating stuff. And alcohol and cigarettes have been banned, and the prices have gone like ridiculous prices. We used to hold foreign currency. If you're in a country where the valuation is so bad, holding foreign currency is probably the easiest, quick way of surviving, because you will only spend what you need. Bribery was normal. Bribing of police officials, government officials, army, people are probably doing that already, bribing to get through the roadblocks and smuggle their stuff through. The valuation of currency, that's inevitable. I'm going to show you some numbers just now. And of course, nationalizing the Reserve Bank, that's what Zimbabwe did. And then the government ran the Reserve Bank. And there's nothing wrong with that, provided that they're not controlling the economy. When the government interferes with the economy, then you always have restrictions and then, of course, devaluation. And then, obviously, the roadblocks. So bartering is definitely a way forward for us. It will be a way forward, provided that you have a proper service or product to offer. And so I've been listening to people talking about network marketing and how people are network marketing. But when you are selling yourself to the public or to your friends, you're obviously networking. And the bigger your network is, the more people that trust you and the easier you do business. If you're not a network marketer, you're like my wife's son who phoned her tonight and said, he's a tax guy. He says, I've had a 60% cut on my I'm only going to get 60% on my salary. And he's down in the dumps because he's not selling anything. He's not got a second or a third stream of income. So you need to network yourself. You need to do private jobs, private deals, turning cash into goods, start finding your silver and gold that you've got available. Now, something that happened when you look at some of the pictures I'm going to show you, just imagine in the 1970s, 1980s, the people were buying cars for 1,800, 2,200, and that was like brand new built car with the bells and whistles that were needed at that time. And I was watching Chris with his trolley deal, and I'm thinking you need to change that last trolley because we are in for big numbers, that last number that you showed. So when money buys something, if you take that same car today, that same car, you probably pay for that Fiat about 30, 40,000 Rand in a good condition. So if you kept that car, obviously that takes space. You would need, a barn or whatever, but it would be worth a lot more today if obviously it's running. And let's look also tonight at what cash is worth and what cash is going to be worth in the next while. Look at space. How much space have you got available to buy stuff, to buy and sell? And before you go into black market or before you go into something we saw in Zimbabwe was basic commodities like sugar, oil, these kind of products where people at such high demand, and the people pay astronomical prices for, and they're willing to pay for it. Then digital products. Digital products don't really have much market value except for their antique value, and of course their gold and silver content. So gold and silver in the commodities, in the digital products that we're using, and we heard about even our cell phones have got quite a bit of, TV's got quite a bit of silver in. So before you throw that away, you must just think there is something worth it. Think of those old cell phones. I would buy up all the old cell phones now just for the silver value. So the next thing, let's talk about the Zimbabwean dollars. So now I've got some Zimbabwean dollars to show you. The first one in, let's see if I can, you can see there's a silver strip on this note. And that silver strip, let's see if it can, okay, they probably would have seen a bit of it. So the silver strip is right there. And during the time I entered Zimbabwe in 2001, that was basically a piece of real silver in the notes. So there was a $1,000 note and a $500 note. So when the currency started devaluating, people were selling these into South Africa. They were selling it onto the black market into South Africa. And then we had all of these notes come. This is a 50 million note. This is a 5 billion note. This is a 10 billion note. And this is a $20 billion note. So now you wonder, how did that happen? On the slide I'm showing you there's the streets of Venezuela that the paper money just got thrown on the street. It was basically worthless. So this is the kind of inflation we saw in Zimbabwe, and that was 2008, just a year after I left. You can see how astronomical that inflation went. And of course, the government was printing money, and they were importing it from Germany. And by the time it arrived from Germany, it devalued like 10 or 15 times already in the weeks that they were waiting for it. So you can see heavy inflation. There's no country in the world that has had this kind of inflation. Even Venezuela didn't have this kind of inflation. But what you find is when you start having government restrictions and you have these lockdown kind of situations, then you have crazy inflation. Now the rand has fallen. It's just touching on 19 rand to the dollar at the moment. It's come up 36% since the 1st of January that it's lost value. So if your money is not gaining 13% or more per month, and you're not finding a way to increase that, then you're obviously going backwards. You're actually going to find when you go back to the shops in a short while that everything is going to go up in price. So we're going to, the world economy is collapsing at this point of time. So in 1929, when the world economy collapsed, you saw lots of people standing in queues. You saw lots of people waiting for food. We saw there was queues all over the place. So this is the next thing we're going to see. The one thing I want to show you is that a few years ago, I actually had this very interesting love for silver. And this is a silver eagle. It's American silver eagle coin. I've got a few of them, and then I've got some Lesotho coins and different coins from different countries. I just started collecting the silver over time. And the old South African 1 rands up until 1977 were 80% silver. So if you can find yourself a whole lot of those coins, you've got something worth. I mean, those coins are worth between, they are half an ounce, just less than half an ounce. So they're worth about 45 rand in silver. And I'm buying them up. If I can find them, I buy them. So just last night, these are all the companies that liquidated immediately when that price fell. And when that price fell, Donald Trump stepped forward this morning and he went and bought $40 billion of 40 billion drums of oil for America. This is the greatest opportunity in the world. I mean, if you can find a supplier of oil and you can secure the oil and you've got a place you can store it, you've bought it at the best price. And this is why millionaires and billionaires make money in this kind of situation. So coming back to the question that host asked about, the oil fell actually to minus $37 for a moment. They shut down the market, and when they opened the market up again, it shot back up to $20 a barrel. So oil costs you probably $2 a barrel to produce, and then it goes through all this mafia and all these hands and banks and stuff, and then they've loaded the price. By the time you get the petrol, then you're just paying ridiculously high prices. So these are all the guys that we're making. You'll see, if you can look through the names, there's some Russian, Finnish, British, American companies that are just wiped out. And a lot of them are leverage trading firms. These are people that have been doing margin and leverage trading using options, IQ options. Those people get wiped out in one moment. So you might be making money, but you can also be wiped out quickly. And then a whole lot of other stocks, the SPX 500 stock exchange fell quite a bit of percentage today. It is just crazy what is still going to happen. We're still expecting the Bitcoin price to fall a little bit. When the Bitcoin halving comes in May, then it's going to skyrocket again, slowly but surely. So we want to have proper assets in our hand that are in our hand, like physically hold. You are in control of this. You can withdraw this anytime you want. It's yours. You can take it from one exchange to the other. You don't have to ask somebody else permission to withdraw it. So this is just a summary, and please feel free to post some questions here, because I thought I would get this information out as quick as possible. But black market is what it's going to come to, whether we like it or not. And I'm going to, as soon as I can get the video, I'm going to post this on YouTube. I will send you folks the link. But it's not for us to start doing illegal activities. But the problem is that government will make people do illegal activities because there are things that people will see opportunities in. When we came across the border to Zimbabwe or left Zimbabwe, we were always searched. There was always even cash. There was one stage you couldn't even take cash out of Zimbabwe. All of these notes, these last notes that I showed you, aren't made out of paper money. They are made out of check paper. You know, remember we used to get checks, write checks? They were made out. The previous ones with the silver stripes, those are all proper paper money. But when I went into Zimbabwe in 2001, this $500 with its silver stripe on it was worth 3 Rand. It was 170 Zim dollars to 1 Rand. This was 3 Rand. Now, think of the coins that you've got, your South African coins. We want to have South African coins in the next few months. They're going to phase all the coins out. Coins are going to become worth more than what their face value is. So even your old 1 Rand coins was this size. Think of what a 1 Rand coin size is now. It's like a quarter or a fifth of the weight. So that 1 Rand coin, I suggest put all your coins away, because those coins will be worth a lot more in the next few years if you had to resell them to a collector. I saw some very interesting, the old set of South African coins from 1 Rand from 1 cent to 5 Rand coin was selling on an overseas site at 140 Rand. Just imagine the appreciation of it's 8 Rand 88 getting you 140 Rand. The silver, the South African Kruger Rand coin is selling now at $98 on overseas exchange, and they're all sold out. $98 US they're selling. So whatever price you bought your silver at, it's just ridiculously cheap. And so what I like, the fact that is we are still able to get silver granules, and silver granules is still relatively cheap, under 400 Rand an ounce. So, I mean, if you had to resell your silver granules in the next week or two, you could probably ask between 450 and 500. If you had to melt it into coins, you'd probably ask 1,000, because silver coins are retailing about 1,000 to 1,100 Rand per ounce on bid or buy at the moment. And that's the only place you can buy it, because most of the other guys are sold out or closed. So, Dion, Chris, you guys have any questions or comments?
Well, I've got two questions. The first one, again, this highlights the real benefit of what Silver Chief is offering to people, the access to wealth and to build wealth. A Krugerrand, a gold Krugerrand costs what, 33,000 Rand. That's the entry point for gold. Whereas with silver, as you're saying, I mean, I bought a silver coin, a silver ounce coin also. I've got a couple of them, and I bought them in August last year, 350 Rand a coin. They're now valuing, as you say, over 1,000 Rand. So I think, sorry.
Well, here's the reality of it. So someone that's on this call took quite a large sum of their monies that they sold the house on and bought silver with it. The amount of silver that they bought could probably buy them a small flat. And the amount of silver would fit easily in their car's boot. Now think of this psychology. If anything happened that you needed to leave the country, leave your suburb, leave the area, or somebody came and said that your house was theirs and you had silver, your whole house, you can put it into one big box into your boot of your car, and off you go. And you can use these coins, because guys are trying to sell us gold. People are trying to network market gold, and the gold is like 70% now over market price. So it's ridiculous. These coins that we bought were still higher than the market price, but the granules of silver, we'll be able to walk into the shop with the granules. Every retailer that's serious about business will have a tester and be able to give you the value of your silver. So you don't have to go, and I mean, if you take a Krugerrand into a shop, that's like 37,000 Rand. How do you get change from a deal like that? So silver is definitely the way for us to go.
And then just this is my last question, then I'm sure Chris has got some. And then also, please, we are opening up to everyone on the call. If you have got a question, please post it, and Reuel, of course, will answer it. Another thing, now with firstly COVID-19, every single government has been giving bailouts to businesses, and so of course you're creating cash now into each economy, and this is all the paper cash that holds no real value. Now the oil price is tanked, and of course they're throwing all more paper cash into the economies to try salvage. What, 40% of the American economy, it was backed or run through oil or oil-related industries, and now that's all collapsed.
Okay, so that's actually one of the points I forgot to address. Is what's happening is your 100 Rand note will still be a 100 Rand note, but we will be seeing 500 Rand notes, 1,000 Rand, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 Rand notes in the next year. So expect to see those big notes, because we won't be able to buy a bread with bread will be 50 Rand or 80 Rand a bread. So just start thinking these numbers, and now one day you'll think that crazy guy that was talking, can't remember his name, but he told me about this, and now I believe it, but it's too late. So we're going to see that happen with American dollar also. American dollar is devaluating in the sense that what it can buy, it buys a lot less. And all paper money is debt. This is debt. This is wealth. This is wealth. This is debt. Think about that.
Awesome. Thanks. Chris?
I'm at a loss of words. Wow. Sure. That is amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I was just thinking about the coins that I've got. I've got, the Mandela 5 Rand coins from 94, all the inaugural coins and all that type of stuff. I've got a shoebox and I've got about 200 of those 500 Rand coins that my mom was collecting for the last 20 years, and she gave them all to me about a year ago. So it could be quite valuable, hey?
Those coins are not valuable. Some of those coins are worth, even some of the scarce coins are worth up to 20,000 Rand a coin. So just imagine you're keeping those coins, you throw it in a box, but you actually don't realize how much wealth you've got in a box. And,
Wow.
and coming back to you, you were talking about you in the toy business, and I'm glad you're out of the toy business for now.
Awesome. In closing, Reuel, would you like to just, we got it still, literally everyone's still on the line. Is there anything else you'd like to close off with?
So I think the lockdown is a good thing for us. And if you're someone that gets bored easily, and I'm sure I've been walking around the house sometimes I even do like slow jogs, but it's time to think about life. Think about family. You're not going to think about yourself anymore. You're going to think about people that are close to you, how you're going to help these family members, because in the next 2 or 3 months, if you've not got something that you can have to support your family, then you don't want to be on a government grant. If you're waiting for a government grant, then you're in trouble. That's big trouble. So I think that the best opportunity for us is to network, is to talk to as many of our people and friends and make friends with lost people that we haven't spoken to. I send out voice notes all the time to people and try and reconnect. If they don't respond, I've still got thousands of people that I can send messages to, and I'm just going through my phone book. So start thinking ahead. Start reorganizing, dusting your shelves. Take all those old coins out. Start finding what's valuable to you, and start turning your cash into something that's, because the South African rand, if you had 100,000 Rand in the bank in January, it's worth 66,000 Rand now. If you had R1 million, it's only worth 660,000, and it's devaluing by the day.
Wow.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd like to just finish off with one comment before I go. Is yes, Reuel, I hear what you're saying. In the next 2 to 3 months, families are going to be in dire straits, and we've got to be careful of not falling in the trap of giving people fish. Because if you give a person a fish, you feed them for today, and guess what happens? Tomorrow they're going to want another fish. And that means that you are depleting your funds. With Silver Chief, we have the opportunity here to give a person a fishing rod. Because if you give a person a fishing rod, you teach them to fish for the rest of their lives. And this is what we're sitting with right now. Don't give fish, give a fishing rod, which is the opportunity that we're sitting with right now.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Chris. Whenever we have this discussion during the presentation, I always do think of that analogy, actually. So it's quite interesting that you actually mentioned it. I'd like to thank everybody for staying on the call. And this has been one of the longest calls we've been on in a while. And again, I hope there's been a lot of information that you've got from this. I'm dying to know what the president said, so I'm going to be going offline from here and straight in to see exactly where I will sitting. I wish you all well. Reuel will be with us again on Thursday night, so he's got some more wisdom to hand over to us, which of course, Reuel, we always do appreciate you and your time. And again, thanks, Chris, for your presentation. Thanks for everyone that has been on the call. If someone put you on the call, and I said this earlier, get back to them and take this seriously and get your future going. Thanks, everybody. Take care and God bless and good night. Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Yes.
Good night, guys. Bye-bye.